My dear brothers and sisters, some of you did not really live this year, you only survived it. You kept going while your heart felt heavy, and there were nights you almost gave up. If you are still here today, it is not by chance. Allah kept you standing. Before 2026 begins, please listen carefully. This message is for you. You did not break even when life pressed you. My dear brothers and sisters, there is something very important you need to understand about yourself before you step into 2026, and that is this. The fact that you are still here means you were never as weak as you thought you were. This year did not test you lightly. It pressed you in ways people around you never noticed. You carried worries that did not show on your face. You answered messages while your heart felt tired. You fulfilled responsibilities while silently asking yourself how much longer you could keep going like this. And many times you felt as though life kept demanding more from you while giving you very little in return. There were moments when you felt stretched beyond your limit. Moments when you wondered whether you had reached the end of your strength, and moments when you questioned why things were taking so long to change. Yet somehow, despite the heaviness, despite the exhaustion, despite the confusion, you continued to wake up, you continued to move forward, and you continued to hold on even when holding on felt painful. This is not something small. This is not ordinary. This is a sign that Allah was sustaining you in ways you may not have recognized at the time. You may have felt alone, but you were never abandoned. You may have felt fragile, but you were never unsupported. The strength that kept you standing did not come from your own power alone. It came from the one who knows the limits of your heart better than you do. Sometimes we think strength means feeling confident, fearless, and in control. But real strength is continuing even when you feel uncertain, even when your heart feels heavy, and even when you do not have clear answers. Real strength is remaining upright when life tries to bend you, not because you feel capable, but because Allah is quietly holding you up. If this year had truly been meant to break you, you would not have survived it. If it had been meant to end you, you would not be standing at the edge of a new year. The fact that you endured means there was purpose in your endurance. The fact that you are listening now means your story is still unfolding. So before you label yourself as weak, before you criticize yourself for feeling tired, remember this truth. You passed through storms that you once thought you would never survive, and you are still here. That alone is evidence that you were being protected, guided, and preserved, even in moments when it did not feel that way. And this understanding is important because you cannot step into a new year carrying the false belief that you are broken beyond repair. You are not broken. You are tested, shaped, and refined. And what comes next builds upon the strength you did not even realize you had. The pain you carried was not random. My dear brothers and sisters, now that you understand you did not survive this year by chance, there is a deeper truth you must reflect on. And that is this. The pain you carried was not placed on your heart without purpose, and it was not allowed to remain without meaning. Many of you questioned yourselves throughout this year. You asked why life became heavier just when you were trying to improve. You asked why relief felt delayed even though your prayers were sincere. You asked why patience was demanded from you again and again while answers seemed slow and distant. These questions were not signs of weak faith. They were signs of a heart that was searching for understanding while still holding on. What we often forget is that Allah does not work randomly in the lives of His servants. Nothing in your journey happened by accident. Every delay, every struggle, every moment of confusion carried wisdom, even if that wisdom was hidden from you at the time. There are forms of growth that comfort can never produce, and there are lessons that ease can never teach. Sometimes Allah allows pain not to break you, but to protect you from something you are not ready to face, or to prepare you for something far greater than what you are currently asking for. Allah reminds us in the Quran, فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ لِلَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Surah An-Nisa, which means you may dislike something, yet Allah places within it much good. Reflect on this carefully. There were moments this year that you deeply disliked. Moments you wished would end, situations you prayed would change immediately. Yet those same moments may have been carrying unseen goodness, shaping your character, correcting your direction, and protecting your future in ways you could not yet comprehend. Think about how much this year changed the way you see the world. Think about how it humbled you, slowed you down and made you more aware of your limits. You learned what truly matters and what never did. You learned who stands by you when things fall apart, and you learned how much strength is required simply to keep going when nothing feels certain. These lessons did not come easily, but they came with purpose. Some of the pain you experienced was meant to slow your steps. You were carrying expectations that were draining your soul, chasing outcomes that were exhausting your heart, and holding on to plans that were weighing you down. Allah, in His mercy, sometimes interrupts our pace so that our hearts do not lose their direction. When control is taken from us, trust is born. When certainty is removed, reliance is strengthened. There were moments this year when you felt as though your heart could not carry any more weight, yet you woke up the next day and continued. That continuation was not denial, and it was not numbness, it was divine support. Allah was teaching you that even when you feel empty, you are never disconnected from His care. Even when you feel lost, you are still being guided step by step through a process that is shaping you for what lies ahead. Not every unanswered prayer is rejection. Sometimes it is redirection, sometimes it is protection, and sometimes it is preparation. What you were asking for may require a version of you that is calmer, stronger, and more grounded than the one you were before this year began. The waiting you endured was not wasted time. It was time that was building something within you. The patience you were forced to develop, the resilience that grew quietly inside you, and the deeper dependence on Allah that formed during your hardest moments are signs that this year was refining you. Comfort would not have taught you this. Ease would not have shaped you this way. The pain stripped away false security and reminded you where true strength comes from. So when you look back at this year, do not remember only what hurt you. Remember what it revealed about you. Remember how it turned your heart back toward Allah, even when answers were not immediate. Remember how it taught you to lean not on outcomes, but on trust. And this understanding matters deeply, because you cannot walk into 2026 believing that your pain was wasted. It was not wasted. It was shaping you, steadying you, and preparing you for a chapter that requires the strength you gained without even realizing it. What you thought was delay was actually preparation. My dear brothers and sisters, now we must speak about something that many hearts struggle to accept, especially after a hard year. And that is the reality that not every delay in life is meant to hurt you. Some delays are not signs of being left behind. They are signs of being prepared quietly, carefully, and deliberately. This year taught you patience in ways you never asked for. You waited for answers that did not come quickly. You waited for changes that did not arrive on your timeline. You waited while watching others move forward, succeed, and celebrate, while you felt as though you were standing still. And in that waiting, doubts tried to enter your heart. You wondered if you were forgotten, if your efforts were unseen, and if your prayers were reaching the one you were calling upon. But understand this deeply. Allah does not rush His plans, and He does not work according to human impatience. What feels like delay to you is often careful preparation by Allah, because He knows that receiving something before you are ready can harm you more than not receiving it at all. There are blessings that, if given too early, would break your heart instead of healing it. There are answers that, if granted too soon, would distract you instead of guiding you. The waiting you endured was not empty time. It was time in which your heart was being strengthened, your expectations were being corrected, and your reliance was being purified. Allah was teaching you to depend on Him, not on outcomes, not on people, and not on timelines. He was teaching you that peace does not come from having everything go your way, but from trusting the one who controls the way forward. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us a powerful reassurance when he said that the affair of the believer is amazing, because every situation is good for them. When something pleasing comes, they are grateful, and that is good for them. And when something difficult comes, they are patient, and that too is good for them. This is not because pain feels good, but because Allah never allows a believer's hardship to be meaningless. Think about how this year reshaped your inner world. You became more reflective, more aware of your dependence on Allah, and more conscious of what truly matters. You learn to sit with yourself in silence. You learn to make dua without words. You learned to find strength even when motivation was gone. These are not small lessons. These are foundations that Allah builds before allowing greater responsibilities, greater blessings, and greater growth. Sometimes Allah delays what you want because He is protecting what you need. Sometimes He withholds comfort so that your heart does not attach to the wrong source. And sometimes He allows you to walk through difficulty so that when ease comes, you recognize it as a gift, not an entitlement. The heart that has struggled knows how to value peace. The soul that has waited knows how to trust deeply. You may feel that this year took more from you than it gave, but look closely and you will see that it also removed what was weakening you. It removed false expectations, unhealthy attachments, and the illusion that control belongs to you. In their place, Allah planted something far more valuable: humility, patience, and sincere reliance. These qualities will protect you long after circumstances change. As you prepare to step into 2026, it is important that you do not measure your worth by what has not arrived yet. Measure it by what you have survived, by how your heart has matured, and by how your connection with Allah has deepened. You are not behind. You are being positioned. You are not delayed. You are being prepared. What comes next will require the version of you that this year helped shape. The patience you learned, the strength you gained quietly, and the trust that grew in moments of uncertainty will all make sense when the next chapter unfolds. Allah does not waste effort, and He does not waste pain. Every step you took this year, even the painful ones, was leading you somewhere meaningful. So do not rush yourself into the next year with fear or bitterness. Walk forward with understanding. Walk forward knowing that if Allah made you wait, it was because He was arranging something with care. And if He made you endure, it was because He knew you could emerge stronger, wiser, and closer to Him than before. The help was closer than you realized. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a moment in every long trial when the heart becomes tired, not because of pain alone, but because of uncertainty. It is the moment when you ask yourself how much longer you must wait, how much more you must carry, and whether relief will truly come. Many of you reached that moment this year. You reached the point where you were no longer asking for miracles, only for peace, clarity, and a sign that you were not alone in what you were facing. What you may not have realized is that Allah's help often comes closer at the very moment when the heart feels most exhausted. Not because Allah waits to see you suffer, but because hearts reach sincerity when they run out of everything else. When strength fades, dependence becomes pure. When answers disappear, trust becomes real. And when expectations collapse, the heart finally turns fully toward Allah, not as an option, but as its only anchor. Allah reminds us in the Quran, "Inna ma'al usri yusran," which means with hardship comes ease. Notice carefully that Allah does not say ease comes after hardship, but that ease comes with it. This means that while you were struggling, while you were crying, while you were waiting, ease was already being written for you, even if you could not feel it yet. Relief was not absent. It was unfolding quietly in ways beyond your awareness. Many people imagine relief as a sudden change in circumstances, but often Allah begins relief by strengthening the heart first. He gives you the ability to endure what once felt unbearable. He gives you moments of calm in the middle of chaos. He gives you the strength to wake up one more day, even when yesterday drained you completely. These are not small signs. These are forms of help that appear before visible change arrives. Think about how many times this year you thought you would not make it through a certain moment, yet somehow you did. Think about the situations that felt impossible, yet they passed. This alone is proof that you were being helped in ways you did not fully recognize at the time. Allah was guiding you through the difficulty, not leaving you inside it. Sometimes Allah delays visible relief because He wants to give you something more lasting than temporary comfort. He wants to give you certainty in His presence. He wants to teach you that even when circumstances remain difficult, the heart can still find peace through remembrance and trust. This is why some of the calm you felt this year came unexpectedly, without explanation. It was not coincidence, it was mercy. You may feel that your dua was unanswered because nothing changed on the outside. But understand this clearly, sometimes nothing changes on the outside while everything is being arranged on the inside. Allah prepares the heart before He changes the situation, because a heart that is not ready can be overwhelmed even by blessings. What you are waiting for requires a heart that is steady, grounded and trusting. There is also another truth we often overlook. Allah's help does not always arrive in the form we expect. Sometimes it comes as patience. Sometimes it comes as distance from what was harming you. Sometimes it comes as clarity that saves you from making a painful mistake. And sometimes it comes as protection from something you were asking for, but that would have hurt you in the long run. As you move closer to 2026, understand that the hardest part of the journey is often the final stretch. This is where exhaustion peaks, where doubts grow louder, and where the heart feels weakest. But this is also where relief is nearest. Allah does not bring a servant this far only to abandon them at the end. He does not allow a heart to endure year-long hardship without intending goodness afterward. So if your heart feels tired right now, do not interpret that as failure. Interpret it as a sign that you have been carrying a heavy load for a long time and that it is time to lean more deeply on Allah. Speak to Him with honesty. Bring your weakness to Him without shame. He does not turn away from broken hearts. He draws them closer. What is coming may not arrive in the way you imagined, but it will arrive with wisdom. And when it does, you will look back at this chapter of your life and realize that even in your darkest moments, you were being guided, protected, and carried towards something better than you could have planned for yourself. Do not carry what was never meant to follow you. My dear brothers and sisters, as you stand at the edge of a new year, there is something you must understand very clearly if you want your heart to breathe again. And that is this. Not everything you carried this year is meant to walk with you into 2026. Some of the weight on your heart does not come from what happened to you, but from what you keep replaying inside yourself. Regret, guilt, disappointment, self-blame, and unanswered questions have a way of settling deep within the heart, quietly draining energy day after day. And if you are not careful, you will enter a new year still fighting battles that already ended. There are mistakes you made that you have already learned from. There are moments you wish you handled differently. There are decisions you replay in your mind, wondering how life might have changed if you had chosen another path. But understand this gently and honestly. Growth does not require endless punishment of the self. Learning does not require living in shame. Allah does not ask you to carry guilt longer than it serves a purpose. Some of you are still holding on to pain caused by people who may never apologize. You are carrying conversations that never happened, explanations you never received, and closures that never came. And every time you replay these moments, your heart relives the pain again. But peace does not come from answers that never arrive. Peace comes from releasing what is no longer in your control. There are also expectations you must leave behind. Expectations of how life was supposed to look by now. Expectations of where you thought you would be at this stage. Expectations shaped by comparison and pressure rather than truth. These expectations silently create disappointment, even when blessings are present. Allah does not measure your worth by timelines, and neither should you. As you prepare for 2026, ask yourself honestly, what has been weighing your heart down the most? Is it fear of the future, regret over the past, resentment towards someone, or doubt about your own worth? Whatever it is, understand that carrying it forward will not protect you. It will only slow you down. Strength is not holding on to pain. Strength is knowing when to let go and trust Allah with what you cannot fix yourself. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean denying what hurt you. It means choosing not to allow the past to control your peace anymore. It means saying with sincerity that you did your best with what you knew at the time, and now you are placing the rest in the care of Allah. This is not weakness, this is wisdom. Some burdens were placed on your heart only long enough to teach you something. Once the lesson is learned, the burden no longer belongs to you. Carrying it beyond that point only adds unnecessary pain. Allah's mercy is not limited by your past, and your future is not trapped by your worst moments. The door of return is always open, and the heart that turns sincerely is never turned away. Before you enter 2026, give yourself permission to breathe again. Give yourself permission to move forward without dragging every painful memory behind you. Trust that what was meant to leave has already left, and what remains will be guided by Allah in ways you cannot yet see. This chapter of letting go is important because the heart cannot receive new light while clinging tightly to old weight. And what Allah has ahead for you requires space, openness, and trust. Do not enter a new year carrying what was only meant to pass through your life, not stay inside it. Walk into 2026 with trust, not fear. My dear brothers and sisters, after everything you have carried, released, and endured, there is one final inner shift that must happen before you step into 2026, and that is the shift from fear to trust. Many hearts enter a new year quietly, afraid of repeating the same pain, afraid of unanswered prayers, afraid of disappointment returning in a different form. But fear is not what Allah wants you to carry forward. Fear focuses the heart on what might go wrong, while trust anchors the heart in who is in control. And when you truly understand who is in control, fear begins to lose its grip. Allah does not ask you to walk into the future knowing every outcome. He asks you to walk into it knowing Him. That alone is enough to steady the heart, even when the path ahead is unclear. This year taught you that you cannot rely on plans alone. Plans change, people change, circumstances shift without warning. But Allah does not change. His knowledge does not fail. His mercy does not run out. And His care for you does not weaken with time. When everything else feels uncertain, reliance on Allah becomes the strongest foundation a heart can stand on. As you prepare for 2026, do not focus only on what you want to achieve. Focus on how you want to walk. Walk with sincerity in your intentions. Walk with patience when things move slowly. Walk with humility when blessings arrive. Walk with remembrance when worries return. This is how a believer moves forward, not with arrogance or fear, but with steady trust. Allah tells us in the Quran, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى لِلَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ, which means whoever places their trust in Allah, He is enough for them. Reflect on this deeply. Being enough does not mean life becomes free of difficulty. It means that whatever comes, you are not facing it alone. It means that even if plans fail, your heart remains supported. It means that even if the road ahead feels long, you are never walking it without guidance. Many people wait for fear to disappear before they move forward, but fear often fades only after trust is exercised. You take one step relying on Allah, then another, and with each step, confidence grows quietly. This is how healing happens, not suddenly, but steadily through consistent reliance and remembrance. Do not enter 2026 demanding certainty from life. Enter it placing certainty in Allah. Do not demand that everything makes sense immediately. Allow some questions to remain unanswered while trusting that clarity will arrive when it is needed most. Allah's timing is precise, even when it feels slow to us. Your responsibility is not to control outcomes. Your responsibility is to show up with sincerity, effort, and trust. What follows will be guided by Allah in ways that are wiser than anything you could design on your own. And even if the next chapter contains challenges, you will face them with a heart that knows where to turn for strength. So, as you stand on the threshold of a new year, remind yourself of this truth often. You are not walking forward alone. You are not unprotected. You are not unprepared. You are walking with Allah, and that changes everything. When trust replaces fear, the heart finds peace even before circumstances change. You were kept alive for a reason. My dear brothers and sisters, after everything you have heard, everything you have carried, and everything you have survived, there is one truth that must settle deeply in your heart before this message ends, and that truth is this: You are still here because your purpose is not finished. Allah does not preserve a heart through exhaustion without intention. He does not carry a soul through pain, delay, and confusion only to leave it without direction. The fact that you are breathing, listening, and reflecting right now is already a sign that there is more ahead for you than what is behind you. You may feel like this year took more than it gave. You may feel like it left marks on your heart that will never fully fade. But understand this with clarity and peace. Scars are not signs of defeat. They are signs of survival. They are proof that you endured what could have destroyed you and emerged with a heart that still believes, still hopes, and still turns to Allah. There were moments you thought you were forgotten. Moments you felt invisible. Moments you wondered if your patience was worth it. But Allah does not forget the one who waits. He does not abandon the one who trusts. And He does not waste the tears of a sincere heart. Every moment of endurance was recorded. Every silent prayer was heard. Every tear that fell without words carried meaning. Sometimes we think purpose only comes through achievement, success, or visible change. But some purposes are fulfilled quietly. Some purposes are fulfilled by becoming gentler, wiser, more compassionate, and more aware of the presence of Allah in your life. Sometimes your purpose is not to arrive quickly, but to arrive with a heart that knows how to remain close to Him no matter what happens. If you survive this year, it is because there is something ahead that requires the strength you gained, even if you do not recognize that strength yet. There is a version of you that has been shaped by difficulty, refined by patience.